Hello, my best students, and welcome back to your channel. You know the feeling, right? You're in a meeting, or at a party, or maybe just trying to ask for directions. You understand everything. You're following the conversation in your head, nodding along. You know the vocabulary. You've spent years studying the grammar. You could probably write a flawless email in your sleep. But then, it's your turn to speak. Someone looks you in the eye and asks, "What do you think?" And in that split second, poof, nothing. Your mind, which was just buzzing with ideas, is suddenly a blank white wall. Your heart kicks into overdrive. You feel that heat rising in your face, and the words you need, words you know, have just completely vanished. So you manage to squeak out a short, simple answer. Yes, it's good, or I agree. Then you retreat back into the safety of silence, feeling that wave of frustration. You had so much more to say. You had a complex thought, a funny story, a valuable point, but you just couldn't get it out. You've been told to just practice, or don't be afraid. But that advice is kind of useless, isn't it? It doesn't stop the physical reaction. It doesn't stop your brain from hitting the emergency brake. What if I told you the key to real, unshakable confidence in English has almost nothing to do with learning more grammar or memorizing longer vocabulary lists? What if the problem isn't your English at all? The problem is a deeply ingrained, completely normal, but hilariously outdated survival instinct in your brain. It's a psychological barrier, not a linguistic one. And the great news is, because it's a mental game, you can consciously and systematically rewire it. In this video, we're not doing grammar drills. We're not reviewing verb tenses. We are going to break down the exact psychological reason you freeze up, and I'm going to give you a series of practical, actionable, and sometimes weirdly counterintuitive strategies to dismantle that fear piece by piece. By the end of this, you'll have a clear blueprint to finally feel comfortable and even powerful using the English you already have. Section 1. The real problem: why your brain freezes. So, before we can fix this, we have to understand what's really going on in our heads when we freeze. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not proof that you're bad at English. It is, funnily enough, a sign that your brain is working perfectly. The problem is, it's working perfectly for a situation you are not actually in. This whole thing is a form of performance anxiety, and it's wired deep into our lizard brains. Specifically, it's a version of the fight, flight, or freeze response. Thousands of years ago, if you were a cave dweller who stumbled upon a saber-toothed tiger, your brain's amygdala, your little internal alarm system, would go nuts. It would flood your system with adrenaline. Your heart would race to pump blood to your muscles, getting you ready to either punch a tiger in the face, bad idea, or run for your life, good idea. But there's that third response we often forget: freeze. Sometimes the best survival move was to play dead, become invisible, and hope the big, scary thing just moves on. Now, fast forward to today. You're in a conversation. You are not facing a saber-toothed tiger, but for your brain, the perceived threat of social judgment, of saying something dumb, making a grammar mistake, or being seen as less than, can trigger the exact same primitive alarm. The fear of looking stupid is a powerful modern-day predator. When that alarm goes off, Your brain doesn't just send power to your legs to run, it also starts shutting down non-essential systems. And in a moment of perceived social doom, what does your brain consider non-essential? The complex, energy-guzzling process of digging up foreign language vocabulary and grammar rules. Your prefrontal cortex, the sophisticated, logical part of your brain in charge of things like language, basically goes offline. All power is being diverted to survival, which in this case just means managing the cringy feeling of anxiety. This is why your mind goes blank. The info is still there, filed away neatly in your memory. But the road to access it has been momentarily washed out by a flood of stress hormones. You are literally, neurologically, cut off from the words. To make matters worse, there's something called the spotlight effect. It's our built-in belief that a giant, glaring spotlight follows us around, highlighting our every move. When you're speaking English, you feel that spotlight intensely. Every hesitation, every slightly off-sounding word feels magnified by 100. You're sure everyone is dissecting your every syllable, just waiting for you to fail. The reality? Most people are barely paying attention. They're mostly wrapped up in their own thoughts, their own insecurities, and what they're going to say next. Even if they notice a mistake, they are far more likely to be impressed by your effort than critical of your errors. Most people are patient and on your team. So let's be clear. The fear is real. The physical feeling is real. But the threat is an illusion, a misinterpretation of social pressure as a life or death situation. Getting this is the absolute first step. You're not broken. You're not bad at English. You are just a human with a very effective, if slightly overdramatic, survival instinct. Now that we've identified the real enemy, this psychological defense mechanism, we can stop fighting our English skills and start retraining our brain. This isn't about changing overnight. It's about using smart strategies to teach your brain that speaking English is a safe and even fun activity. It's about moving from a state of threat to a state of chat. So, let's get to it. Here are the concrete steps to build that real, lasting confidence. Section 2, Step 1, the communication, not perfection, mandate. The single most destructive belief for any language learner is the myth of perfection. We get this idea that to be fluent, we have to sound like a BBC news anchor or a character in a movie. Flawless grammar, perfect accent, infinite vocabulary. This belief isn't just wrong, it's the main source of the anxiety we just talked about. It sets an impossible standard, so your brain is just constantly bracing for failure. Every time you open your mouth, you're not just trying to share an idea, you're trying to perform a flawless linguistic gymnastics routine. And the second you wobble, because even native speakers wobble, your inner critic screams, "See, not good enough, you made a mistake. They noticed, shut up before you make another one." We need to demolish that entire way of thinking and replace it with a new, much more powerful one. The goal of language is not perfection, it is connection. The goal is not to be flawless, it is to be understood. Let that sink in. Communication over perfection. This isn't just a fluffy quote, it's your new North Star. It's the filter you'll use for every conversation from now on. Think about it. Imagine a friend who's learning your native language says to you, "Yesterday, I go to a beautiful place. The food were delicious." Do you stop them and say, "Wrong. It's I went and the food was? Of course not. You're not a grammar checking robot. You're a person. Your brain instantly autocorrects the errors and gets the meaning. They went somewhere nice and ate something great. You'd probably say, "Oh, awesome. Where'd you go?" You focus on the message, not the tiny mistakes in the delivery. This is exactly how native English speakers listen to you. They are your partners in communication, not your judges. When you make a small error, 99% of the time, their brain does the same thing yours does. It autocorrects and focuses on what you're actually saying. They care way more about what you have to say than how perfectly you say it. So, how do we actually do this? First, you have to consciously give yourself permission to be imperfect. Before you walk into a conversation, literally say to yourself out loud or in your head, "My goal here is to connect and be understood. I will make mistakes, and that is okay." Setting this intention beforehand dramatically lowers the stakes. Second, start paying attention to how native speakers really talk. Watch unscripted interviews, reality TV, or YouTube vlogs. You will be shocked. Native speakers are messy. They use filler words like and like. They start sentences they don't finish. They use bad grammar. They are not perfect. Once you realize the perfect English you're chasing doesn't even exist, the pressure to achieve it just melts away. Third, redefine what a successful conversation is. It's not one where you made zero mistakes. A successful conversation is one where you were understood and you understood them. That's it. That is the new win condition. Did a connection happen? Did an exchange of ideas happen? If yes, you succeeded, no matter how many prepositions you butchered along the way. As an executive communication coach, I see this all the time. The clients who improve the fastest aren't the ones with the best grammar, they're the ones who are willing to be messy. They prioritize getting their point across, even if it's clumsy. Their confidence skyrockets because they are actively communicating and realizing that their imperfect English is actually incredibly effective. Your homework for this step. For the next week, every time you speak English, your only goal is to be understood. Afterwards, don't replay the mistakes. Just ask yourself, did they get my main point? If the answer is yes, you have to count that as a win. Celebrate it. By focusing on connection, you rob perfectionism of its power and start building confidence on what actually matters. Section 3, Step 2, the micro-exposure technique. Okay, so we've reset our goal to communication, but now we need a way to actually practice this without sending our brain into a full-blown panic. If your fear of speaking is a 10 out of 10, jumping into a high-stakes debate is like learning to swim by leaping into a stormy ocean. It's too much, too soon. The key is to retrain your nervous system slowly. We need to rack up a series of small, manageable wins that prove to your brain, through experience, that speaking English is not a tiger. This is the micro-exposure technique. It's based on gradual exposure therapy, a proven method for treating all kinds of anxieties. The idea is brilliantly simple. You start with ridiculously low-stakes situations and then slowly, systematically level up. Every successful interaction, no matter how tiny, is another piece of evidence for your brain that you're safe. It builds a new neural pathway, one that links speaking English with competence, not fear. So what does this look like? We're going to build a ladder of speaking challenges, starting on the ground floor. Level 1, the no stakes warm-up. The easiest practice of all is speaking when no one is listening. I know it sounds weird, but it's a vital first step to get your mouth and mind used to the physical act of making English sounds. Talk to yourself. Narrate your day in English. Okay, I'm making coffee. Now I'm opening the fridge to get the milk. I think this milk might be a little old. It feels silly, but you're forming sentences with zero pressure. Read aloud. Grab a book or a news article and read it out loud for 5 minutes a day. This builds muscle memory and connects the English you can read with the English you can speak. Level 2, the scripted mission. This is your first step into the wild, but in a very controlled way. These are interactions that are predictable and last just a few seconds. Ordering coffee. This is the classic for a reason. The script is almost always the same. Hi, can I get a large latte? For here or to go? To go, please. That's 425. Thanks. Practice it at home. Walk in, deliver your lines, get your coffee, and walk out. Boom. That's a huge win. You just had a successful English conversation, buying one thing at a store. Same deal. Hi, just this please. Need a bag? No thanks. Short, predictable, and a success. Level 3, the information heist. Here the conversation is a little less predictable, but the stakes are still incredibly low. Ask for the time. Walk up to someone and say, "Excuse me, do you have the time?" Ask for simple directions you already know. "Excuse me, is the subway this way?" The answer is usually a simple yes or no. The point isn't the information, it's the act of starting and finishing the exchange. Level 4, the compliment bomb. This is a brilliant move because it's designed to get a positive reaction. "Hey, I love your scarf." "That's a really cool dog. What kind is it?" The other person is almost guaranteed to smile and respond nicely, reinforcing to your brain that talking to people can be pleasant. Level 5, the casual check-in. Baristas, shopkeepers, waiters, they are paid to be nice to you, making them perfect low-risk conversation partners. When ordering your coffee, add a simple, open-ended question. "How's your day going?" Or, "Is it always this busy on a Tuesday?" They'll give a short answer, you nod and smile, and it's over. You've just leveled up from a transaction to a tiny moment of social connection. See the pattern? You only move up the ladder when you feel pretty good about your current level. Maybe you spend a whole week just ordering coffee. Awesome. That's a week of successful English conversations. The crucial part is to acknowledge your success. After you complete one of these missions, take a second and consciously tell yourself, "I did it. I was nervous, but I spoke, they understood me, and the world didn't end. It was fine." You have to register the win. This is how you feed your brain the proof it needs to overwrite the old fear program. Your homework is to build your own micro-exposure ladder. Write down 5 to 7 levels, starting with something that feels super easy and ending with something that feels a little challenging but doable. Then, just work your way up at your own pace. This is not a race. It's a systematic process of building a new, better relationship with speaking English. Section 4, Step 3, Become your own coach, the power of recording. This next technique is one of the most powerful things you can do for your confidence, and it's also the one most people hate the idea of. You need to start recording yourself speaking English. I know. You probably cringed just reading that. The thought of listening to our own voice, especially in a language we're learning, can feel incredibly awkward. We all have that "do I really sound like that" moment. The answer is yes, you do. And getting cool with that sound is a critical step towards genuine confidence. The resistance we feel is exactly why this works so well. The cringe comes from the gap between how we think we sound and how we actually sound. To be a confident speaker, you have to close that gap. You need to get familiar with the reality of your English voice. Think of it like an athlete watching game tapes. A pro basketball player spends hours reviewing recordings of their performance, not to beat themselves up, but to get objective data. They look at their footwork, their form, their strategy. They find strengths to double down on and weaknesses to fix. We're going to do the same thing with our speaking. Here's how to do it in a structured, positive way. Phase 1. Just get used to it. For the first week, your only goal is to survive the cringe. You're not analyzing anything. Open the voice memo app on your phone. Every day, for just 1 minute, record yourself talking about anything. Your day, the room you're in, what you had for lunch, doesn't matter. Then, and this is the key, listen back to it. That's it. Don't judge. Don't take notes. The only goal is to hear yourself. After a few days, the weirdness will start to fade. You're just desensitizing yourself. Phase 2. Hunt for the good stuff. Once you're no longer horrified by the sound of your own voice, you can start coaching. But we start with a strengths-first approach. This is crucial. Record yourself for 2 to 3 minutes on a topic you like, your favorite hobby, your dream vacation. Now, listen back with one mission. Find one thing you did well. Was there a sentence that flowed nicely? Did you use a cool vocabulary word? Was your pronunciation of a tough word surprisingly clear? Write it down. I did a good job explaining why I love hiking. You must find something positive. This trains your brain to look for wins and builds motivation. Phase 3. Find one thing to improve. Only after you've found a strength are you allowed to look for an area of improvement, and the key is to pick only one. Listen to the same recording again. This time, look for one specific, tiny thing to work on. Don't say, "My grammar is bad." That's useless. Be specific. Maybe you notice you say a lot when you're searching for a word. Maybe you realize you always mispronounce the th sound. Write down that one specific goal. Example: next time, I will try to pause instead of saying Phase 4. Practice and repeat. Now you have a specific, manageable goal. You practice that one thing, record yourself again, and listen for improvement in that specific area. Then you repeat the cycle. Find a strength, find one weakness, practice, repeat. Why is this so much better than just practicing? It's objective truth. How we think we sound in the moment is totally unreliable. A recording doesn't lie. It privatizes your mistakes. You can mess up in a safe space, analyze it without judgment, and fix it without an audience. It's the definition of low-pressure learning. It proves you're getting better. This is the biggest confidence booster of all. After a month, go back and listen to your very first recording. You will be floored by how much you've improved. The progress that feels invisible day to day becomes undeniable when you have the audio proof. That feeling is a shot of pure confidence. Your homework is to commit to this for 1 month. Start with phase 1. Just record and listen. Then move into the coaching cycle. Remember the rules: strength first, one improvement at a time. This isn't about being your own worst critic. It's about becoming your own best coach. Section 5. Step 4. Speak slowly. Sound confident. In our rush to sound fluent, we fall into a trap. We think fluency means speed. We hear native speakers talking a mile a minute and think, to sound like them, I have to talk that fast. This is one of the most common and counterproductive mistakes you can make. Trying to speak too quickly is a recipe for a confidence bonfire. When you add conscious speed to nerves that are already making you talk fast, you get a triple whammy of bad news. You make more mistakes. Your brain can't keep up. It doesn't have time to grab the right words or check the grammar, so you end up tripping all over yourself. Your pronunciation goes out the window. You don't have time to form sounds correctly, so you end up mushing your words together, making you harder to understand. You max out your brain's CPU. You're forcing your mind to work on overdrive, which burns mental energy and makes you way more likely to freeze. The solution is simple, but it feels revolutionary. Slow down. Speaking slowly and deliberately is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it's one of the best ways to project confidence and authority, even when you're faking it. Think about the most powerful speakers you know: presidents, CEOs, inspirational leaders. Do they rush? No. They speak with a measured, deliberate pace. They use pauses for effect. Their slowness gives their words weight and gives you time to actually absorb what they're saying. When you consciously choose to speak more slowly, you give yourself superpowers. You give your brain breathing room. You create space for your mind to find the right words and build sentences properly. This immediately cuts down on mistakes. Your pronunciation magically improves. You have time to actually articulate your words, making you instantly easier to understand. You sound more thoughtful. To the listener, a slower pace doesn't sound like you're struggling. It sounds like you're carefully choosing your words. They perceive it as control, not hesitation. You feel more in control. Rushing feels like panic. Slowing down feels calm and deliberate. This physical act of slowing your speech actually sends a signal back to your brain that everything is okay, which helps reduce the anxiety itself. I'm not talking about speaking painfully slowly. I just mean reducing your pace by about 20 to 30%. I'm talking about taking one conscious breath before you answer a question. I'm talking about allowing for natural pauses between sentences. Here's a quick exercise. It's called paced reading. Find a short paragraph of English text. Read it aloud at your normal, probably too fast pace. Now, read it again, but this time tap your finger on the table at a slow, steady rhythm, about 1 tap per second. Try to pace your speech to the tap. It'll feel weirdly slow. Finally, read it a 3rd time. No tapping, but try to keep that same calm, deliberate pace. That's your new target speed. Your homework for this step is to make speak slowly your mantra. Write it on a sticky note. Before you talk, remind yourself. When someone asks you a question, take 1 breath before you answer. That tiny pause will feel like an eternity to you, but it's nothing to them. And it gives you a crucial moment to downshift your brain from panic to process. You'll be amazed. The words will come easier, you'll feel less flustered, and you'll project an aura of calm confidence. Remember, in speaking, slow is smooth, and smooth is confident. We're covering some deep stuff here, and I really hope you're finding these psychological tricks and practical techniques helpful. We've talked about changing your goal to communication, using micro exposures to retrain your brain, becoming your own coach by recording yourself, and the power of speaking slowly. If these ideas are clicking for you and you're starting to see a new way forward, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I'm always sharing videos that dig into the psychology of communication, and I'd love for you to be part of our community. Also, I'm really curious, which of these ideas so far has been the biggest aha moment for you? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and it really helps me know what you're struggling with. All right, let's get back to it. Our next step is a little weird, but it's a game changer for getting comfortable in real conversations. Section 6, Step 5, Embrace the Golden Mistake. We've already talked about ditching perfectionism, but now we're going one step further. I don't just want you to tolerate your mistakes. I want you to start loving them. I want you to see every mistake not as a failure, but as a golden mistake. What on earth is a golden mistake? It's an error that gives you a valuable piece of data about where the edge of your ability is. It's a bright, flashing signpost that points directly to what you need to learn next. Without mistakes, you have no signposts. Without signposts, you have no idea where to go. So, mistakes aren't just a necessary evil. They are the literal fuel for your progress. Think of it like a video game. When your character dies, you don't smash the console. The failure gives you information. Okay, there's a trap there. Or, that boss attacks left, then right. Got it. The failure is the learning. Language is exactly the same. Every mistake you make is a gift of data. Let's say you're telling a story and you say, "I was very boring in the class." The other person looks a little confused and clarifies, "Oh, the class was boring?" In that moment, you just found a nugget of gold. You've learned the crucial difference between boring, "I make others feel bored," and bored, "I feel boredom." This isn't a moment for shame. It's a victory. You've just learned a vital distinction in a real-world context you will never, ever forget. You could read a grammar book for an hour and not learn that lesson as well as you did in that 2-second exchange. The fear of mistakes keeps us quiet, but silence teaches us nothing. The only way to find the edges of our knowledge is to push on them, which means we're going to fall down sometimes. A confident speaker isn't someone who never makes mistakes. They're someone who has a healthy, productive relationship with their mistakes. They see them as opportunities. So, how do we get this mindset? 1. Start a golden mistake journal. This is key. Get a notebook or a file on your computer. Every time you catch a mistake you made, write it down. But you have to frame it this way. The mistake: I said, I am agree. The golden lesson: the verb is to agree, so I don't need am. The right way is I agree. The victory: awesome. I learned how to correctly agree with someone today. Framing it this way transforms a moment of failure into a documented success. Over time, you build a personalized textbook of exactly what you need to learn, all based on your real life. 2. Learn the power phrase. How should I have said that? This is such a power move. When you're talking with someone you trust and you stumble or can't find a word, instead of panicking, just pause and ask, "Sorry, that didn't sound right. How would you say that?" This does two incredible things. First, you get an instant, perfect correction. Second, it shows massive confidence. It shows you care more about improving than about protecting your ego. It turns them into your teammate, and people love to help. 3. Celebrate your cringiest mistakes. This might sound nuts, but your most embarrassing mistakes are your best teachers. I have a story from when I was learning Spanish. I was trying to tell my host family I was embarrassed, avergonzado, but I used the false friend embarazado, which actually means pregnant. So I proudly announced to a table full of people that I, a man, was pregnant. Was it embarrassing? Oh, absolutely. My face was a fire truck. But do you think I have ever mixed up those two words again? Not a chance. That cringy moment was a golden mistake that welded the correct vocabulary into my brain. Learn to laugh at these. They're the battle scars of your language journey, and they make for the best stories. Your homework is to start your golden mistake journal today. Your goal for this week: collect 3 golden mistakes. Go into conversations and try to push your boundaries a little. Use that new word. Tell a slightly more complex story. If you mess up, don't shrink. Recognize it, thank your brain for the free lesson, and log it in your journal as the win that it is. The faster you make mistakes, the faster you learn. Section 7. We have been on a serious journey today, not just into English, but into the psychology of confidence itself. We've taken apart the fear that makes you freeze, and we've seen it for what it is. Not a weakness, but an old survival instinct that's just misfiring in social situations. We've laid a whole new foundation for your practice, built on one powerful idea: communication, not perfection. Your goal is to connect with people, not to be a walking grammar textbook. That shift alone can change everything. From there, we built a practical, step-by-step blueprint. We started with the micro-exposure technique, learning to retrain our nervous system with a ladder of small, achievable wins that turn fear into confidence. We stepped up as our own best coach with the power of recording, using it to get objective feedback and, most importantly, to see undeniable proof of our own progress. We learned the secret of the pros: speak slowly to sound confident. By giving your brain space, you cut down on mistakes, improve your clarity, and project an aura of calm authority. And finally, we learned to change our whole relationship with errors by hunting for the golden mistake, treating every slip-up as a gift of data that shows us the way forward. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: building confidence is a skill, not a magic talent. It's something you build brick by brick with smart strategy and consistent action. The English you have in your head right now is more than enough to start. You don't need to wait until you know more. You can start today. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is being willing to act even when you feel the fear, because you have a plan. It's the courage to order that coffee, to ask that question, to hit record on your phone, to embrace that mistake, knowing that every small action is another brick in the foundation of the new, confident you. Start with just one of these things. Don't try to do them all at once. Pick the one that felt most exciting to you. Maybe it's just reading a paragraph out loud tonight. Maybe it's starting that golden mistake journal. Whatever it is, take that first small step. Because the journey to becoming a confident English speaker doesn't start when you're perfect. It starts when you decide to be brave. Thank you so much for investing this time in yourself today. I know this was a long one, but real change takes more than a 30-second tip. If you found this helpful and you're ready to keep building your confidence with strategies that actually work, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Now, for your first action step, I want you to commit to one thing. In the comments below, tell me, which one of the steps we talked about today are you going to try first? Are you going to build a micro-exposure ladder, start recording yourself, start a golden mistake journal? Declaring your intention is a powerful first move. So go ahead, write it down. I can't wait to read what you're going to do. Keep practicing, stay brave, and I'll see you in the next video.